So hello and welcome to Design Chat, the best live design discussion on the internet. I'm your host, Ryan McGovern. On Twitter, I'm at Hoopajube and at DesignChat. Every week we get together with some of the coolest people from the design industry and share them with you, bring them to you, the design community, DesignChatters, so you can have a one-on-one experience with them. That is the greatest thing about DesignChat, is that you can come in and join in the discussion, be part of the design community, plug in, and share information and ideas. So tonight we are talking to Mr. Carlos Perez of Elastic People. Golf clap, thank you so much for coming. Cheers. Happy Cinco de Mayo.
Guys. Exactly. Cheers.
So, right. Back at you, brother. Drink to that. So, let's get started. Let's talk a little about, let's introduce you to the design community for those people who are not aware of you or what you do or the Elastic People. Give us a brief history, who you are, what you do, and why you do it.
Who we are, Elastic People is a multidisciplinary design group. We specialize in image development, primarily in the entertainment industry. It's a small boutique. There's 6 of us on a full-time basis. There's a huge amount of collaborators in different mediums. And, why we do it? Because we enjoy design. We enjoy music. We enjoy trying to impact the culture or society through design. And I think that in a nutshell is what we are.
Quick shout out to Mr. Carlos Segura, who, when I tweeted out almost in desperation that I had not done my job and booked somebody for tonight's show, he got right back to me and he suggested that I get in contact with you because he said he recently did a show with you. Why don't you tell us a little bit about that?
Yeah, it was, saludos, Señor Segura. We had an AIGA event down in Miami a couple weeks back. It was called Audio Visual, and it was primarily a showing or a presentation of Elastic's work and how in general design impacts the music culture, especially nowadays with technology moving in so aggressively. And we also had a panel discussion, which was super interesting. Mr. Segura was part of the panel. Myself, Paul Farrat from Sony Music, Ed Agudelo from Universal Music. We had Mateo Garcia, who's a photographer that we collaborate with, and it was a real cool night. Really good crowd, good music, drinks, and a very open discussion about where music is and how design is playing a role in it.
I think that's really interesting because with technology infringing on so many industries right now, we're going to see a lot of these crossings happen. Not only in groups like yours who specialize in the music industry, but there are so many opportunities to have open discussions and have those meetings now. So, what are your insights, sort of, on the crossing of paths between design, technology, and the music industry right now?
Well, before, the essence or how design starts to play such a huge role in music, primarily years ago, was the LP cover, LP art. Then that was a 12 by 12 inch canvas. Many huge designers and artists themselves were commissioned to do these covers. Eventually, the cassette came in, the CD, and all the different formats. And in times where music is moving more into the digital realm, there was a lot of fear, like, oh shit, design or design's offering simply, would be limited simply because that canvas was getting smaller and smaller, from 12 inch to a 1 inch thumbnail on iTunes. And you know, now with technology, I think it's the whole opposite. It's offering a lot of huge room for good creative, good design, good interactive design, and I think our role's a whole lot bigger now with the scopes of the projects. It goes way beyond the CD cover and deals with a whole lot of dynamic media and content development and merchandise,
Hmm.
product design. So, you know, I think we're at a great time.
Totally agree. Totally agree. A couple of notes. I always forget to do this right off the bat, but we are broadcasting live from Samata Mason, which is a very cool design agency in West Dundee. Please check them out. They're at samatamason.com, and on Twitter they are at Samata Mason. Their name will be popping up and link in the chat room just right now. There you go. And also, mentioning earlier that we can do questions, there's a little red button if you haven't been here before down to the right of your screen that says ask a question or submit a question or something similar to that. And you can submit a text question, or you can actually write a scenario. You can get on video and you can come face to face and ask a question of Carlos. And it's a really exciting thing. So I encourage you. We're not going to do. We used to just hold questions right till the end, but I want to encourage some discussion. So please submit questions and we will take them. I promise. I promise. I promise. Um, so yeah, getting back to what we were just talking about, the sort of crossing of technology, design, and music. You're right. It is an extremely exciting time, and I have a feeling that with the way the music industry is changing so quickly and having to learn to adapt, just like the print industry is, newspapers and magazines and that sort of thing. All of our media is going digital. There's all these new touchscreen interfaces. What can you tell us that is exciting or that you've been working on that has to do with the new ways that we're going to be purchasing music and those interactions that you're developing?
You know, that's a pretty broad question. You know, I think that on a daily basis, we're just really immersed in our in treating each one of our projects as a unique opportunity to communicate something about the music that we are in essence selling through design or supporting through design. And you know, we do a lot of different initiatives in terms of viral marketing and interactive blasts that sort of start releasing content on a gradual basis, building up to a release date or to a specific event. On a bigger
Mm-hmm.
scale, we're also part of an initiative that is a music distribution technology that I think out of many that I've sort of learned about and immersed myself into. One that really stands out, and we're actually working on the development not only of the branding but user interfaces, yada yada yada. So I mean, it's exciting. We're definitely developing a cross-platform media uh, portal sites specifically for music, integrating from merchandise to you know digital media, streaming concerts, mobile applications. So we're sort of like everyone else. We're sort of in the lab trying to figure out what we can do to have a bigger impact. You know, beyond selling an artist album.
Right. What do you think about what Lady Gaga's doing right now? She's just blown out of the scene in the last couple of years and just is blowing the art world like absolutely crazy. And the videos and the visuals that she's bringing into this scene, I'm sure getting a lot of designers excited about designing around music again. What do you think about that whole mess?
You know, I think there's been quite a few artists in different times that were you know obviously a whole lot more aggressive in terms of their creative voice, not only through music but in the visual components, live performances, music videos, tours. You know, Lady Gaga sort of came in at a time where the industry was, you know, had been pretty static in terms of like someone that really came out and made an immediate impact upon, you know, not only the radio stations and the fans' desire to buy their music, but from a visual standpoint, she's sort of been probably one of the most impactful, artists when it comes to, you know, interacting between audio and visual. Probably since Madonna in the '80s,
Mm-hmm.
and it's a
Mm-hmm.
beautiful thing. I think it's sort of, by her pushing the envelope, there's a lot of artists that, are losing that fear of being too vocal about what they believed in. And I think she's definitely inspiring a lot of creatives inside and outside the music industry as, definitely a unique artist.
For me, music is always present, right? It's I'm always listening to something while I'm designing, while I'm working on anything. There's always music on going in the house, and I think that's that way for a lot of designers, and that heavily influences how we perceive the projects we're working on. Because like you'll work on a project for hours and hours and hours, and then you'll get away from it for a while. You'll hear that same song that you were listening to while you worked on that project, and instantly you start seeing images in your head of what you were doing at that time, right? There's this weird connection that can't really be explained. So where does music sit in your life? Like where did you why did you gravitate as a design group in your work to doing this type of working in the music industry?
I mean, personally, I come from Puerto Rico, an island in the Caribbean that it's extremely rich in terms of musical culture. There's many extremely impactful artists that have come out of the island. So therefore, we've been very rich in music. I was very much exposed to a lot of big, great artists, old, young, designers, musicians, and and I totally forgot your question.
You were going on the right path though. But the other one I wanted to get to about Puerto
Oh,
Rico
I
is that
got
just
you. I
before
got
we
you.
went
I'm back.
live, oh cool, just before we went live, you told me you had a homemade Puerto Rican rum that you were drinking. What is that about, man?
I mean, that goes back to the culture. I think, a lot of people are quite aware that some of the finest rums come from Puerto Rico and parts of the Caribbean. And, within our tradition, there's um, a rum that's distilled um, at home. And, I had a little bottle, so I saved it for special occasions like right now. And,
Nice.
you know, it's actually what's most interesting is that the rum is definitely part of a huge cultural thing. I mean, when this homemade rum specifically, when you play dominoes with the family, you're listening to music. So, I mean, it's going back to your question. It's definitely, music since very much small was a huge part of my life. Still till this day, I wake up to music. I go to sleep to music. I work in music. Um, and why Elastic chose to go that route. I was fortunate enough to right out of school go work at a design studio in LA that specialized in automotive um, branding, collateral, interactive, and at some point in time, I was very much exposed to many extremely corporate clients, and
Mm-hmm.
eventually had. I always knew that I always knew two things that I wanted since about 9 years old to design logos for bands, and as I grew, I always knew that I wanted to have my own business at some point as a goal. And, mixing business and the passion for music, Miami was it was at a great time because Miami was sort of exploding with the music scene, Latin music
Mm-hmm.
scene, and we embraced not only the region that we were in, but what we had a passion for, and make it into a business.
So now that you've sort of reached that goal and you've got a group, you were saying you're about 14 people deep at your group. How's your daily life changed? I mean, are you really getting your hands dirty in the artwork still, or is it like you're managing, you're sort of overseeing a lot of projects at the same time, where you can't, like, you don't even have the opportunity to get in and create artwork and that sort of thing? Like, what's your daily world like?
I mean, I personally fall in a category where I'm a creative that is a business owner, and I always try to keep the creative aspect as the main priority, or the main focus of the daily, professional life. But I think with time, the company was founded in 2002. We've been blessed to have worked on a lot of very interesting projects with very interesting, not only artists but brands. And my daily is pretty chaotic. Do I still design? Absolutely. Do I design as much as I used to do in 2002, 2005? I have great designers in the company. It's sort of like a ping pong game. I think, the creative in the studio, we brainstorm direction. And once everyone is clear, it's sort of like this evolving, um, meal. I mean, everyone gets involved,
Mm-hmm.
everyone cooks. Um, you know, Obviously, the business side, sacrifices some of my dirty hands on. But, I think also having been granted the opportunity to start working in filmmaking through music videos, I think I've sort of offset, design time that I would have usually done in the past, and really look at design as a means of, you know, bringing something to the film world. And it's a very interesting scenario, and that, immersing myself more in film, keeping design in the forefront, has really allowed me to not, lose my mind in the balance
Right.
of creating versus dealing with, the everyday BS of, owning a business.
And in order to get through those things, you've got to have the talent in your house. So when you're hiring designers, when you're looking for creative talent to bring in house, what are you looking for? What's the approach that you take? Because a lot of people
I
who
think
are either coming out of school or deciding to get into design, or they're out of job. It's hard to get a job right now. What do you got to do to get the attention of a Carlos Perez?
I mean, you know, I think there's a lot of great creatives. A lot of great creatives. I think there's fewer great people. So, I mean, I think having great design skills, having the right personality to interact, collaborate as open as we do in different mediums with different people from different countries. For me, it's more about a balance between people that bring something to our culture and to the people that already exist. And then, with that said, someone that really contributes, um, visually, graphically, technologically, something that we're looking for. I mean, it's an interesting time. I have to say that, the studio. It's a very, like, cool environment. It's sort of like family. We're not a lot of people, but I've been able to I have two designers that are a hell of a, talent in their own worlds. One deals more with interactive and graphic design. The other one deals more with motion graphics, graphic design, and we sort of, have a very cool, I think, communication in terms of developing
Mm-hmm.
creative. So, I mean, what I'm looking for in essence is just really unique designers with very good personalities and consistency.
You said something interesting in there, in that one of the things you're looking for is that they can contribute technologically. We are in a very fast-paced world right now, and if you're not keeping up with the advances in technology as a designer, you're going to be left behind. And even the way you create images and that sort of thing, it's after a while it can get dated if you get stuck in your ways. What do you think about that struggle right now with how fast things are moving and how important that role is to wear that hat of being a technical person?
I think it's opening a broader, you know, stage or a broader playing field for designers. I remember, not that far ago, but when you looked at a logo, it was like, okay, first thing, you had to do a letterhead or a business card. Nowadays in our world, when we're designing logos or a typography for a logo or just trying to develop that visual language that we're going to use for a project, we're not only thinking typography and 2D, we're thinking how that logo could translate onto a stage, how that logo could play in After Effects or 3D software. So I think there's a it makes us have a broader understand.
We just had a freeze there. Carlos's video seems to have freezed on my side. Tell me in the chat room if my video is okay. I'm cool. Okay. Um, I'm going to see if I can find a way to. If you're listening, Carlos, he looks like he dropped off. Okay. Well, maybe he's refreshing and he's coming back on right now. Which means, in order to get him back on, I need to go into the participants list and watch for his name to pop up, and then grant him permission to come back in. I'm not seeing it yet. In the meantime, guys, start thinking about some questions you can ask this guy. Very interesting what he's doing there down in Miami, being connected to the music industry. I think he's trying to call me. Hold on one second, guys. Design Chat is on pause. So he just called me. They actually just had a power outage, believe it or not. So he's jumping back in the chat right now. He said he's rebooting his computer and he's going to get back in. Really crazy. So yeah, power outage. We shall wait. You're right. We're very patient. Yeah, you know what, Yusuf? Actually, I want to do that. Ask a question and I'll put you on video. Actually, no, I'll do this. You don't have to do that. I'm going to make you co-host for a second.
Hey guys.
Hi, Yusuf.
What's up?
Yusuf
Good.
participated in some of the very earliest iterations of DesignChat, and we got to talking, and he let me know that he had an internship not too long ago for working for a very important designer. Why don't you tell us a little bit about that real quick?
Yeah, it was really good. It was in Amsterdam. I had the opportunity to work at Eden Speakerman, which is
Could you speak up a little bit?
yeah, okay, people are sleeping, but it's okay. Basically, I
Oh,
got to
okay.
work in Eden Speakerman, which is Eric Speakerman's company, amongst other partners. He'd be the most notable partner in it, and it was a really great opportunity to get to work alongside him, a man with like such experience. So that was my little foray into like the.
And you're in Dublin, Ireland right now, and it's pretty early,
Yeah,
so it's very cool that you stayed on to come in. I never got back to you earlier. I've been emailing with Eric Speakerman, and we're trying to work out a deal to get him on the show. So that was a great connection. Thank you again for helping that out right there. But very exciting. So, really quick, tell us about the design world that you're living in Ireland right now.
well, the design world in Ireland, it's very local, but it's quite a nice. It's a nice scene. It's not very big. You can get to know everybody. Dublin is a very small area. It's a small city, and if you hang around the right circles and things like that, you can really get to know people. There's a lot of high quality studios. I'd certainly recommend that people check out Ireland's design scene if they can, because it's small but it's quality, and it's always kind of gone under the radar because really Ireland doesn't have a huge history in design, but we're really pushing it forward now, and I think he's back on.
He is back. Carlos, can you hear us? It looks like the power's still out where you're at. Oh, he's still setting up his camera and mic. Oh, well, he's gone. They're having some issues. Oh, all right. Well, we'll just keep on going. Thanks, man. Tell me what's the Speakerman studio like?
Oh, it's nice actually. Well, it was really big. There were about 70 employees in this one building. It was a three-story building, but they have since downsized because of the way the markets have gone. Well, the Amsterdam branch has downsized. They released a press release there a while ago, and they're moving into a new place now. They've had to let some people off, but actually, I'll put up a link. There's a particular guy who works there. He's one of the partners. If you follow him on Twitter, you can keep up to date with all. Like, he's very active on it. He'd be like, next in line to the likes of Eric in that company. If you like, I can put a link to that. And
yeah, awesome.
Really good, really good. Like, I found the level and attention to detail in Dutch design is second to none. It's like I learned a lot about methodical workflows and really paying attention to detail, sweating the details, and the rest will look after itself.
It looks like he may be back. Let's try one more time. Carlos, can you hear us?
I hear you perfectly.
We brought on a guest real quick in your absence, but I'm glad you're able to make it back. Yusuf, I'm going to put you back as a guest. Thanks for coming on and telling your story.
Thank you, Yusuf.
He's actually in Dublin, Ireland right now, which is an interesting thing. That just kind of it's an exciting thing to know that people from anywhere can tune in and jump in on these conversations, and that's just very exciting for me.
It's very cool. Very cool.
So you had a power outage. Was it scary?
It was. I think people are partying a bit too much Cinco de Mayo, and there was no power for about 30 seconds.
Somebody got drunk
Always
and kicked the power cord?
Yeah, exactly. No, not really. It hurts every time though, because when machines are left on, that little zap sound scares me.
I bet. Yeah, that's kind of creepy, man. Let's take a question from the audience. First question tonight comes from M. Thomas, who asks, has social media affected how you approach design and music? Are you a fan of the changes?
Yeah, I mean, anytime that technology can broaden the stages where design sort of lies, it's a beautiful thing, and of course we got to embrace it every day. How has it affected? I mean, directly with design, I think it's definitely great tools to, release content, release covers, release, music samples, snippets, different initiatives. It's definitely has broadened. It's like you said, 2 minutes ago. It's like to have the opportunity through technology to communicate with so many peoples and so many different mediums. It's a beautiful thing.
Totally agree with the question, Em. Yeah, I really think we bring it up a lot on the show because I mean half of what we do as this group, half of the idea of Design Chat is leveraging social media to make these connections happen. Because as designers and creatives, we end up working in these companies where you're not really supposed to talk to each other sometimes because there's competitors and we're worried about other designers being better than us or something really silly like that, like the fears that we might have in the school where you actually they're your friends but they're also your competition because sometimes all these schools don't let a lot of kids in. So it's a weird time right now where some of those doors are opening and we can get together as design chatters and hang out. So you're starting to say a little bit earlier about how you're getting into a little bit more of the video world, and the animation and motion world. Tell us a little bit about that. Was that, I mean, you were hinting that it was a result of you got into the music videos, but I would imagine, as the sort of music industry has declined over the last 5 years, that you guys have had to branch out. That in order to survive as a design group, you had to diversify a little bit. Is that true?
No, I mean, I think one of the main reasons why Elastic sort of grew out of nowhere was, the fact that from day one I wanted to definitely reach out, and take design into a very integrated approach through each project, not only, in 2D or paper, but extending into, interactive, film, stage designs, touring. So, I mean, we didn't really diversify in mediums because we needed to. It was sort of like great timing that it was sort of the vision at the moment, and we were able to educate a lot of people in taking an approach that not only took design as, something that was going to lie on a store on a package, but the value of design across the board in the support of the musical proposal.
Hmm. I was joking earlier. It looks like you're in a record studio there, like you're a producer or something like that, and you're making a bunch of gold records. Why don't you tell us a little bit about your environment there?
No, I mean, this is the studio actually where
We get a virtual tour.
it's sort of like, yeah, exactly. No, I mean, it's those are platinum records. It's basically each one stands for, a successful album that we've worked on, and that's sort of like our not wall of fame, but the motivator. I mean, we tell each other, we still have wall space, and it's very important for us to not only be selective with projects that contribute something to the culture of music, but that we are able to contribute through design, that a level of enhancement that, definitely impacts, the people's outlook on an album, and takes it to like a real, selling product. I mean, like everything, I think our business is to sell ideas, and the only way we can measure out consistency is by the success of the products we're involving ourselves with. So I mean, that's
Tell us a little bit
you
about the
see that
artists that
hole
you
right
work
back
with.
there.
Yeah, yeah, they were joking in the chat room about that. Looks like one's missing.
Nah, we're working hard. Um, what was your question?
Tell us a little bit about the artists that you work with. It's got to be an interesting environment where your clients are almost always going to be artistic people and sort of understand the arts and live in that world as opposed to having corporate clients and that sort of thing. So tell us about the relationships that you guys have.
I mean, we primarily work in the Latin music industry, and we've had, the first blessing of being able to collaborate with very outrageous and overly creative artists that, that embrace design, that understand the value of design. And we the first 2 years of the company, I wanted, obviously we were building the portfolio of our work, and to me it was very important that we were able to take on projects for those 2 years that sort of represented a different genre within Latin music, so that our offering was
Mm.
diverse, and we didn't fall in the repetition of dealing with a specific genre of music. And in terms of the relationships, we've luckily been able to collaborate with most of the artists and clients of ours on more than one album, in some cases 4 or 5 albums. And we definitely still strongly believe that beyond a record label and beyond management teams and beyond public relations, it's very important that, you know, the tattoo we sort of draw out for each artist's album is inspired and collaborated with these artists direct, so that, you know, at the end of the day, when they see their album covered 30 years down the road, you know, they can still feel that it's ownable, that they had a great part to do with it, rather than the design process be saturated with too many mixed messages. So yeah,
It's really
collaboration. We
interesting
have
that
great relationship with the artists we work with.
it's really interesting that you call the
Go
music
ahead.
art a tattoo, because it makes a lot of sense. Where, you know, if you're a music artist and you've made your album or your EP or whatever, and you release it and it goes out in the world, you know, you've got the audio component, which, you know, they have complete control over, and that's their identity. But you also got the visual component, which all of their listeners are going to be holding on to while they listen to that music, hopefully, right? And playing with and opening the book or doing whatever, putting on their wall or downloading a screensaver, and, you know, that's going to be their image, or put it on their phone. So it's interesting that you call it a tattoo, because you're right, they have to live with it. It's now a permanent mark about who they are, what they do, and how they communicate that, you know, their brand, and whatever you want to call it. If you even want to call it a brand, a more personality or something like that. Is that a language that you use with your clients?
I mean, I think that design and creativity and music has sort of gone from a very two-dimensional, functional, and inspiring, you know, canvas to a whole lot more of an experiential design. You know, you're dealing with senses, not only visual, but how those visuals relate to audio, and how that visual and audio relate to motion. And so, I
Mm-hmm.
mean, I like to say that, you know, three things actually. We sell ideas, we develop image, and at the end of the day, you know, we're designing an experience more than a package.
That's a great way to put it. Totally great way. We're going to take another question from the audience tonight, from Gary Holmes. Carlos, how do you deal with artists' egos?
I mean, I think, you know, as designers, we have a great training ground in school. I mean, it's you know, any intense creative, whether it's an artist, a designer, a painter, industrial designer, always has a very competitive approach to their work. And, you know, I think that egos, as long as they're contributing and using that ego to set forward goals and dialogue, I think it's just part of the business. Now, when that ego goes beyond business and starts affecting the product, you know, like any relationship, you just have to, you know, pick your battles and really learn to understand where those artists are coming from or what their point of view is, and negotiate the creative output. So how do we deal with it? It's a day by day, artist by artist. I mean, you can't. I mean, sometimes ego is confused with arrogance, and arrogance is
Right.
confused with security. So therefore, I mean, as long as there's dialogue and a cool collaboration, you know, we're in a great place.
And really, I think you're going to run into that dealing with any client. I mean, everybody has an opinion, right? And what you have to do is sort of manage what type of opinion is that. Is it a subjective opinion? Is it an objective opinion? You know, how are you going to play to that personality that you're dealing with? And hopefully, you know, as a designer, not only are we able to communicate well visually, but also you know, you're working in a business, you need to be able to communicate verbally, to tell that story, to tell the client that I understand this is what you want, and I understand this is where we are right now. So to get to where you want, we have to do X, Y, Z. And so you start managing expectations of what's possible and when it's going to happen and how it's going to make them feel afterwards. But it's one of those things you can't predict what other people are going to say or react to, or how they're going to come at you, because maybe they do hold that project very personally. Maybe that brand manager at that company, feels that they've spent so much of their life investing, even emotionally, into that brand, that they own a piece of it, right? And they want it to be perfect. They really want it. I mean, you have to play to those, like you said a second ago. You sort of have to play to where they are mentally, and work from there.
Yeah, I mean, I think I was looking at Segura's chat with you this morning, and there's something that he said that is very much true and in line with what we're talking about. Clients in a very high percentage come to you because of what they want and not necessarily what they need. So I mean, it's a very you got to measure out where the information is coming from, and sort of take it from where it's coming from, and be very clear in the fact that people come to us to solve their problems, whether they're visuals or strategically, and it's a dialogue. If you're not able to communicate how your ideas may impact what you're selling, that dialogue could turn into a one-way road away from what you
Hmm.
necessarily think it's right.
So I've been using a set of 3 questions for the last handful of shows, and I think they're running to the end of their lifespan here. But I'm going to go ahead and use them again tonight because they are a fun set of questions. The first one has to do with filtering and sort of curating your world. With like we were talking about with technology earlier, there's lots of ways that you can sort of block out the bad and bring in the good, whether it's on the web, or on your computer in general, or even with advertisements that we have to deal with, that we're hit in the face with every day, everywhere we look. What are the filters and sort of methods that you use to like filter or curate your world?
I mean, filters in what way? I'm not quite understanding.
A filter could be a way of thinking, something you
Can
do
you
in your
filter?
day.
You know, I mean, I'm with technology nowadays. It's very hard to, it's we get exposed to so much content. I'm not even certain there's a an answer to how you filter out so much information. I think that you have to create a balance between the good thing that that technology has brought about is that you could be a whole lot more selective with your time. um, I think you can, any question you have, you can research on the spot, that may impact your creative process, that may impact your life. So therefore, it's just sort of, I mean, it's about time management, really. And I think that's, as I used to teach at the Miami Ad School, and I've sort of always said that the hardest thing for young designers, and I mean for designers in general, is time management, and it's seldomly taught in design programs.
The next question, sorry, I'm typing. The next question has to do
It's
with
all right.
uh, your visual radar. What currently in your world, and this could be on the web, it could be digital, it could be analog, it could be something you see walking down the street. What currently is on your visual radar that makes you think twice or makes you want to research a little more?
I mean, I think any for on when it comes to the business, I think that, everyone is looking extremely closely at, how to use technology to move content and sell content and use content to express your point of view and I think anything dealing with how music will be sold, how music will be used as part of all these new initiatives that will eventually turn into the future of music. So, I mean, I like to just read up a lot on different, entertainment publications, technology, and sort of, you know, choose what of those new ideas could impact our company and our offering, and embracing them and researching them and challenging ourselves to learn on a daily basis. You know, I don't I don't feel I want to be a teacher. I want to still be a student, and that's just the most important if you want to stay up with all the new things happening around design, music, technology, culture, etc.
Mm-hmm. Last one is guilty pleasure website. What is it, and how often do you visit it?
You know, I mean, I'm a huge boxing fan, and I spend a
Okay,
lot of
okay.
times just researching or maxboxing.com. Um, I don't know. I mean, I YouTube and Vivo channel are definitely taking a big chunk of my time, and for both, um, business and personal content search.
It's funny. Usually, I ask that question, and it's like there's a pause, and then a laugh, and then a consideration of whether or not they're going to tell us what that guilty pleasure website is. Uh, so we're going to take another question here from the audience. Ryan MJ would like to know sort of the subject, bringing up, when designers and creatives, sometimes people will approach you with ideas or guerrilla tactics that are unsolicited, and how you sort of deal with that. Or maybe in the subject of spec work, do you guys uh, put spec work out there for designers to do it all?
To be honest with you, I am definitely totally against spec work. I think that the way we do, I mean, there's a lot of work. There's a lot of work behind what we come up with, and I think doing spec work sort of devalues what our contribution is to clients. I think that taking paid opportunities and really expanding upon or going beyond the expected results, um, it's a good way to sort of, build a relationship. But I'm totally against spec work. I don't think, there's not a lot of good restaurants that, give free meals. So I think that at the end of the day, by doing so, we're devaluing what we represent in society.
It's a fun subject to bring up because there some people see value in it, for young designers trying to get out there, and they're getting scrappy and they're trying to get some work, or people who are just interested in design and that sort of thing. And I can see how it might be viewed as that. And then there's others who take it to the extreme level, like I'm totally drawing a blank. Well, how can I was just talking about it today. Um, Victors and Spoils, an agency out of Colorado, who's based on not really spec work, but the idea that they can become they can create strong work for their clients by using the sort of pool methodology. And they launched. We had Evan Fry on the show about 8 months ago now. The night before they launched the agency, so they've been in existence for about 8 months. And I was just talking to him today, trying to ask how it's going, and we're going to get him back on the show to see, now that he's down the road, if he thinks that's still a viable sort of model for an agency to reach out. And It's spec work. Some people have had really bad experiences. Some have had people that have had very good experiences. But all in all, I think everybody sort of agrees that there should be value placed on what we do as designers. All too often, not. I mean, even in the regular agency world, sometimes we struggle with clients and people outside of our world seeing value in what we do. So I'm totally on board with that part of it, no doubt.
Yeah, I mean it's definitely a
Yeah, go ahead.
very interesting. I think it's a very person. I think it's a very personal um, position or understanding. Obviously, we're in an economy where clients want more for less, and if as an agency you have a lot of time on your hands or enough time to sort of start developing work and throwing the dice, more power to you. My stand is the opposite, and it's that it's we've as designers have worked so hard for so many years to sort of legitimize what a role is, and
Mm-hmm.
why whore out our services when it's still the business of design or design business.
Gary Holmes brings up another interesting asking, are you excited about the launch of 3D TV and how will that impact your work in music videos, etc.?
I think I'm gonna call Carlos Segura and make sure he sends him a T-shirt and some 5-inch CDs for being the best question of the night. Um,
Good point. Good point.
it's an awesome question. I think it's an awesome question because right now, as literally, last Friday we finally delivered our first music video that was shot in stereoscopic 3D, and I'm really
Wow.
excited about it for many things. For many things, one of which is a video that definitely has design as its vertebrae. It's sort of a video that plays off a visual language that we created for the album and for the personality of the project. So I'm excited because there's a lot of graphic design into it. I'm excited about it because
Oh man, I think the power went out again. Bummer. Let me take the question off real quick. I forget who was in the chat room, but asking if we can maybe get him to drop the name of the artist who's doing that 3D work. That would be very exciting to find out. Maybe, maybe not. In the meantime, where can we watch a show reel? I did bring up his website earlier. Let me bring it up behind me. Da da da. And he does have a lot of examples of his the music work on here, and I haven't dug around too much. It's elasticpeople.com. You can check them out there and see if they dig down in there. See if you see the video reel. I'd really love to find out if they've got one too, because especially that 3D stuff. I can't believe he cut off in the middle of telling us that story. It's going to be very exciting to see where that goes. Um, Let me get my mouse back. Cam twist. We're going to be trying to do another interface, not interface, but we're going to on Vocal way to bring up websites and that sort of thing. So stick with us for next one. That's going to be kind of fun. So let me switch back over and see if he's signed back in. I do not see it yet. He's probably, if he's lost power, all those people, Cinco de Mayo in Miami, dude, gets crazy down there. Gets crazy. Maybe we should have him take the camera and point it out the window and show us what's happening. Or what is he missing right now? So who in the meantime wants to do a little show and tell? Wants to submit a video question and come on right now. Or just tell me in the chat room if you want to get, oh, he's back in? Okay, hold on. I'll get him. Elastic People is now a co-host. Oh, it's getting crazy down there, huh?
Yeah, it must be people partying too hard in Cinco de Mayo.
I was just joking with the chat room that you should take the camera and point it out the window and show us what you're missing right now. You're missing the party. I feel bad.
Nah, it's a good thing. I mean, I have a lot of work this week. I don't want to go out and get destroyed and be lagging the rest of the week.
Get destroyed and destroy the power source that is supplying your link into the design chat world tonight. That's not good. Not good at all. But it's okay.
Yeah,
We're
yeah,
running to the
yeah.
end of our chat anyway. I was trying to coax some people into asking some more video questions because I love those when you design chatters decide to do that. So you've got a couple more minutes if you're going to come back on and try to get in a video question. So in the chat room, if you're still around, throw up your Twitter handle real quick. A couple of notes, Carlos. Any final thoughts on what's going on right now with design community or design world at all? Where we are as a design culture and what designers can do to help it?
I think that number one, for obvious reasons within technology's development, we're at a great place. I think that, having a balance, I think there's a couple things. I think you got to really be selective and pick clients that you believe 100, 200% in their product. That will definitely raise the bar in terms of what your creative output's gonna be. I think number two, we gotta also be extremely conscious of not only dealing with paying the bills through design, but to take our role within community and selecting one or two nonprofit organizations that you could contribute through design on a yearly or at whatever scope you can do it.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Because the more of that we do, I think the our mission to save the world from bad design will get you know little by little um, won by consistent designers that have a responsibility of using their craft and impacting a massive amount of peoples around the world.
Great advice, Carlos. Thank you so much, Mr. Perez, for coming on to represent Elastic People in Miami. On Twitter, they're at Elastic People. On the web, they
Yep.
are elasticpeople.com. Anything else you want to plug really quick that people can find out what you're doing?
I think that we're actually launching our new website in the next couple of weeks. It's actually going to be a pretty interesting experience. We're going to have a lot of work up there, and it's sort of going to have it's more archive based. We wanted to definitely go back in our history and sort of showcase a lot of projects that a lot of people haven't necessarily seen in different parts of the world. So that's one thing.
Mm-hmm.
The I think the one of the more important projects we have going on is the Descontrol music video for Daddy Yankee, who was recently named the has the number one album or the album of the decade according to Billboard magazines, making
Wow.
himself be one of according to CNN, one of the most influential Latin artists in the world. And the
Wow.
daddyyankee.com, stay tuned. Through Twitter we're going to be announcing when the video is going to be released, but I'm looking forward
Is that the
for
3D
that.
video?
Yeah, exactly. It's gonna be
Awesome.
it's gonna be a super dope release. I think it's gonna push a lot of people. It's gonna raise the bar in terms of using technology and using communities online to really approach or bring back the importance of the music videos in everyone's face. I think Newsweek had a great article recently, and it was sort of like the return of the music video with Lady Gaga having such a mind blowing amount of views online. So
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I mean, stay tuned. Check Twitter out. We always usually post, what's out there, and once the release happens,
And
go
they're at
get yourself
Elastic
the.
People on Twitter.
Yes. And once we
Awesome,
have
awesome. Well,
the.
thank you again so much for coming on, Carlos. Very excited to talk to you. Very excited to hear about your experience with Mr. Segura on your show. This is what the design community needs, is to talk to people like you and hear your stories. Very exciting. So thank you again, Carlos. Thank you for coming on. Cheers. We're on next
Thank you,
week.
boss.
Same time, same bat channel. So follow at DesignChat on Twitter for more announcements. We love you guys. Good night, Design Chatters. Have a good one. See you next week.
Good night.